Hi everybody, happy Passover. I'm here with my sous chef Caden, and we on the CDT staff wanted to share with you this year a few of our favorite Passover recipes as we approach the holiday beginning on April 8th. I'm going to make three things with Caden here for you today. The first thing we're going to make is a brisket. It's my grandmother's recipe. Then we're going to make my family's version of choroset. And then finally we're going to make an easy meringue pie for dessert. So we're going to start with our brisket, Caden, and first we're going to spray our pan. So we're going to spray it because this just makes it easier to clean up at the end, right? Because nothing will stick then to our pan. Then what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to take this wine and can you pour it in the pan? The whole thing. And while you're doing that, I am going to slice up this onion.
Okay, I did it.
Good job, buddy. So you're going to take the onion and slice it to put on the bottom of the pan. So after I slice it, you're going to lay out the slices at the bottom, okay?
Okay. That's dangerous.
Well, that's why we're being really careful with the knife today. One more. All right, so can you take these circles and lay them on the bottom of the pan?
Yeah.
All next to each other. No, because there's a lot of liquid at the bottom of the pan. So lay them all out. Yeah. Yep, all out like that. Keep going. So if you need to go wash your hands, Caden, go ahead while I'm getting the next part ready. So we're going to take a brisket, and we've got here about a 1 pound brisket. That's what they had at the grocery store. Usually I'll make a bigger one because 4.5 or 5 pounds is good for making sure you have enough leftovers because this is something that'll last for a few days and frankly, in my opinion, is better on day 2 and 3. So next we're going to take some Lipton's onion soup mix and sprinkle it over the top of the brisket. One packet all throughout. And then we're going to need 3 sauces. The first one's going to be A1.
Wait, do you need all of it?
Probably not all of it, but a good amount, Katie. Just pour it all over it, okay?
All over what?
All over the meat. That good? Okay, then we're going to take some Heinz. That's okay. Some Heinz 57. Pour that over. And really there's no set amount here. It's really just sort of, you eyeball it and see what looks good, but you want relatively equal amounts of all the sauces. So this one was a little harder to get out, wasn't it, buddy?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that looks good for that. And the last one we're gonna put on is Worcestershire.
What?
So that's glass, so be careful with it, okay? But pour it all over, okay? All right, so that looks like enough Worcestershire. Then what we do is we take the brisket, wrap it up in some foil, and cook it low and slow. Put it in a 275-degree oven for about 4 to 5 hours. And we'll see what it looks like when it's done. So now, Caden, we're going to move on to our choroset.
What does a choroset mean?
A choroset is something we're going to eat at the Seder that is made up of apples and nuts and wine and cinnamon that reminds us of the mortar that the Israelites, that our ancestors used when they had to make the cities and the bricks for Pharaoh. So however you want to do it, I have this great machine to help me, but however you want to do it, peel and core your apple. And then you're going to slice it. So, Caden, if you want to core our apple, keep going. Now, while Caden's doing this, there's lots of different ways to make this. Some people cut their apples bigger than others. Mine are sort of a rough chop. Others will put their whole ingredient list in a blender. And in fact, Sephardic or Mizrahi, people from whose families come from Spain or Portugal or the Mediterranean region, their haroset is totally different. It's made more out of dates and figs, and it's more of a paste than traditional Ashkenazi haroset, which is much more rough and made from apples and nuts. So we're going to rough chop these apples into small pieces. All right, now Caden, we can just move this to the side. We'll clean it up later. Caden, will you put that in?
Nuts.
Now we need, you're right, we need our nuts. Now we don't probably need this full bag because this is about 4 apples worth, but it's really just like the brisket sauces. Whatever looks good to you, that's probably plenty of that. Now we need to add the cinnamon and the wine. You want a really sweet wine, Manischewitz or Magen David is probably the best for this. So we're going to pour, but we don't want too much.
And not all of it.
And definitely not all of it, because we need to save some for the Seder, right, Caden?
Uh-huh.
And then we're going to put cinnamon. And I like a lot of cinnamon in mine. All right, let's see how that looks. Maybe a little bit more. And the best way to do this is just mix it up. So we got a couple spoons. Okay, and if you want to stir, take one and stir. You can stir it up. Stir it up nice and good. Make sure the apples and the wine and the cinnamon and the nuts are all mixed together. Now you can also add, if you want yours to be even sweeter, you can add a little honey to this too. And now that we've mixed it, well, I think it looks good. Do you want to taste it? Should I or both of us? Okay, take a little spoonful. No, don't put it back in. We'll get clean spoons next time. It's delicious. So while our brisket is cooking, we'll come back in just a little bit, see how that's doing, and also show you how to make a pie. Well, we're back. The brisket's been cooking for about 5.5, almost 6 hours now, so we can take it out of the oven. Caden, how's it smell here?
Good.
I agree. So we'll take it out of the oven, and you know it's done when you can stick a fork in it and it's fork tender. This is what it looks like. So it cooked way down, and the fork goes right in. Now I'm going to let that cool for a little bit, and I'll slice it later, put it back in the juices, and let it go into the fridge overnight. And frankly, I think it's really just much better the next day anyways. You could eat it now, but the second day for a brisket is always better. So we'll save it and have it for dinner for the Seder. So now we're going to make dessert. This is one of my family's favorite Passover recipes. It's my mom's absolute favorite, so she taught it to me. I've already got 3 egg whites in the bowl. You can use either a stand mixer or a regular mixer. We're going to add a 4th egg white to that. So we'll separate the egg and the yolk and the white. There we go. And Caden, let's put this in. Do you want to do it? All right, we'll pour that in. And Caden, can you put that down and turn it on? Now we're going to let this go, and Caden, you can turn it up. Yes, and we're going to let this go and watch as it makes stiff peaks. The great thing about this dessert is it sort of has that sort of crunchy texture that you want from a pie, but it's kosher Pesach in that it's just egg whites and sugar. So we're going to let this go all the way up, Caden. We want this to just keep going as fast as we can until we get stiff peaks. And while we're doing that, we'll grease up our pie dish so that we can, this is a pie dish, so we can get our pie out when it's done cooking. So the bubble, you see there's lots of bubbles in there, and the bubbles are going to keep building and building on each other until we get into a dough or a foam that we're going to add the sugar to. Now in my family, when we have this, it's a great hard meringue crust, so a lot of people hear meringue and they think about the stuff that's on top of a lemon meringue. It is much different than that. It's more like what you would have in sort of a meringue cookie or something like that. It's more of a hard meringue, and it's great with whipped cream and berries. If you do separate milk and meat, though, make sure to wait enough time to eat the dessert until after you've had your meat dinner. Let's see what it looks like. All right, Kaden, can you turn it off? And we'll see if it's done. Let's lift it up. Unlock it, lift it up. And if the peaks stay standing straight up, which they did, you know it's done. Now we're gonna add the sugar just a little bit at a time, maybe about half. And we'll put it back in and start beating in the sugar. Back up on high, Kaden. Because you want to go really fast to keep it in the air. Now we're going to keep beating this and keep slowly adding the sugar until the mixture gets to a real shiny looking color. Okay, add a little bit more. And now let's finish the sugar up. Pour the rest in. We're going to let this go for another minute. No, you want to come see what it looks like? You can come see too. All right, Kaden, turn it off. Gonna lift up our...
After we unlock it.
Yep, we gotta unlock it. We lift it up. Now, that's the color it should look like. A very shiny white. Now, we'll knock as much off as we can into the bowl.
I'll scrape it.
And we'll scrape some of it off too. Good idea, Kaden. Then, we'll add it to our pie dish. Just sort of scrape it in here. Get as much as we can.
No. Are we done?
We are almost done. Just gonna smooth it out, push it into the sides. Then we're gonna put it in our oven at 300 degrees for an hour. Now the trick though with this pie is you let it bake for an hour, then turn off your oven, open the door, and let it sit for another hour without touching the pie. So I left my oven cracked open for an hour off after the pie was done cooking, and let's take it out just to see what it looks like. Here it is, all ready to be cut into, to put whatever toppings you want on. Whipped cream, Cool Whip, berries, bananas, other fruits, even chocolate. Enjoy. Chag Sameach.